I tried to spit into the sink. No matter how many times I witness it, seeing that little globule travel out my mouth and shoot straight into the basin with no arc of descent. Man, I'll never get over it. It's the nature of space. Things simply go forward, and with no resistance to slow their velocity, they'll just keep going. I shook my head in amusement, washed my mouth out, and made my way out into the central cabin. Evany was there on his Kindle, and Allison was playing Switch on the couch. It was nearly the weekend, a Friday. We don't get a lot of time off up here in the International Space Station, but when we do, we nerd out. Hey, has Maya finished up the EVA up on the port solar arrays yet? I asked Allison, who shook her head. Not that I have heard, Ro, she said. Hasn't checked in. But you know how long cleaning a solar cell takes, right? Not this long, I said. For some reason I felt concerned. NASA's official word is that there is no fraternization in space. But I can tell you firsthand, that's just PR. Maya and I had fraternized all over the space station in all kinds of positions. And, as is so often the case, I had grown rather attached to her. It was the ISS not so secret. Now, Maya is a very capable cosmonaut. She does things quickly, efficiently, and well, she is also very communicative. That's one of the things I like about her. So the fact that she was not reporting back regularly struck me as a little off. I floated to the console. Maya, I radioed out. Do you read me? Copy, Rowan, I read you. That lovely Russian voice came back. Progress report on the battery cleaning? It is a little more technical than I had anticipated, but not so complex. Cell will need a full replacement, not just a clean. Fortunately, I brought a spare. As you know, I like to come prepared. That was a wink. She had brought an entire roll of Trojans onto the space station just in case. God knows how she snuck it past Roscosmos. My Russian paramour continued. Obviously, the toolkit is with you. I wanted to make sure everything was shipshape before I checked in. The job looks to be simple, no complications. Copy, Maya. Thanks for the update. I put down the console phone. I don't know why I felt so on edge with her not checking in, but I did. In fact, I still did. It was just a feeling. Mission control? It was Maya's voice again. There was one other thing. My blood ran cold. Can you clarify, Maya? Copy. There appears to be an organism out here. Communicative, but understated to a fault. Organism? Like an alien? Are you kidding me? Nah, she said in irritation. Check my cam. Evany and Allison's interest had also been piqued. A possible alien encounter. Who wouldn't be? We crowded around the console. On the fuzzy little screen, glitching slightly every few seconds, we could see Maya's hands messing with the solar cell. The void of space lay beyond it in a flat charcoal canvas, created by the screen's grain makeup. Where is it, Maya? I said. We watched the screen as Maya's hand reached out and pointed to something. At first I couldn't see anything special, but as I squinted, I began to make out a little orange cluster. From here it looked like a tiny hole burnt in a piece of paper. You know what I mean. You see them all the time when you put a bit of paper into a campfire. Black in the middle, but with the edges illuminated as the paper burns. Maya, is there a fire up there? I asked, incredulous. No, I'm in space. There can be no fire. But it does seem to be growing. As we watched, the little flame thing seemed to flutter. It reminded me of a sea butterfly, or one of those strange squids that move by rippling curtains like appendages. Then slowly, it increased in size, expanded. It kind of, glooped out from the sides. It was only by a centimeter, but still. Maya, I said, don't touch it, it could be dangerous. Don't worry, Rowan, she laughed. I'm not going to touch the completely foreign and living in space alien life form. But it is very pretty though, see? She zoomed in the cam on the little thing. It almost appeared to be dancing, hypnotic in the way fire is. Captain, Evany said excitedly. He is the only one that formally calls me Captain, because he is a pencil neck. May I suggest putting the solar cell EVA on hold? He was almost ecstatic with glee. Maybe we should have Maya take pictures of it. But the little organism was changing again. Through the grainy filter of the monitor, that little ripple happened again. It puffed out again. A couple of centimeters this time. I don't like this thing, Allison said in a low voice. Nuh-uh, not one single bit. Maya, I said, ignoring her and returning to the phone. It's too risky for you to touch it, but we can't just leave it there. Do you have any way to contain it? Could you use the tool container as a jar? The tool container was made of a strong compound plastic fiber, hollow and see-through. Copy, she said. If you don't mind me losing a few spanners, that is. We have redundancies, I scoffed. Okay, she said. Dumping tools now. In the monitor, a plethora of tools float away, spinning, unrestrained. It was almost hypnotic the way they moved. A stray hammer floated past the organism. A particle, like a tentacle or something, whipped out and grabbed one of those spanners. It pulled the tool in, and the mass seemed to explode onto it, like a gumball bursting. Suddenly, the spanner appeared to be engulfed in flame. That red ribbon spread out all across it, consuming its surface area. In a second or two, the flame faded and all that was left was black. Even in the high ISO of the monitor, it looked like midnight black. Not the ashy grey of the rest of space. It was the absence of light. The blackness seemed to recede into the creature, swelling it like a puddle. Everyone drew in a breath. Maya, I said slowly, not trying to panic her. You need to get yourself back inside, right now. But the cam was fixed on the organism. The thing began to spread out at the bottom, as if gluing onto the ship. A light flashed onto the console. Looks like it's compromising hull integrity, Allison said. It's literally eating the module row. Oh, good God, I whispered. Then to the radio. Maya, get back here now, okay? An edge of anxiety had slipped into my voice, and I cursed myself. NASA trains us that when an emergency situation occurs, the most important thing is for the leader to remain calm. If he spooks, everyone spooks. Avinash swore in Russian. He looked as though he were counting something. Captain, he said, if this organism continues to expand in the time trajectory it has done so far, it will overtake the entire ISS in an hour. Now I clutched at straws. That's assuming exponential growth, Ev. We don't know enough about this thing to make that call. I don't think we can afford to wait, Allison said. I say we detach the module. Detach an array? Evany said, startled and confused. That's billions of dollars worth of equipment. Moscow and Houston would have our heads. Do you know how much it takes just to build these things? Let alone get it up here? Well, what do you suggest, egghead? Allison said. You said it yourself. It could compromise the entire ISS if we don't act fast, she said. Captain, what do you think? I chewed my lip for a minute. Our main priority is Maya. We need to get Maya off it before we can make any rash decision. I had taken my finger off the button, so she couldn't hear any of this. The cam had been keeping curiously still this whole time. Maya, I said, what are you still doing there? You need to get back to the command module now. It's just, she said, and even through the staticky radio transmission, her voice had taken on a dreamy quality. It's just so beautiful. Look at the way it moves. Maya, you have to get back here now. That's an order. Do you copy? It's so beautiful. It reminds me of the fire my grandmother used to keep in her fireplace. So beautiful. I want to touch it, Maya said, exponential and unstoppable, flying through space faster and faster. Maya, don't you do that. Maya, don't touch that thing. The hand on the screen reached out, stretching, reaching for the glowing, fiery thing that appeared in front of her. It had become much larger now, absorbing the material from the ship and forming into two distinct sides like lungs or maybe two large wings. Maya, don't! For the love of God, don't touch it! I screamed into the phone receiver. The hand reached the interconnected glowing entities. A second later, there was a popping sound, then the roar of a vacuum filling a void as the screen filled with that amber glow like a flame. Maya's scream was piercing and ugly, but that didn't last long before it too was swallowed by the roar of the void. In another second, the camera had glitched and gone black. We all just stood there, too shocked to say anything. Eventually, I spoke, jokingly. Heavenly, message the other crews and tell them what we are going to do. Allison, begin sequence for detachment of the boat's solar array.